What is up, YouTube, and welcome back to another episode of Oxygen Not Included. This is Series 2. Probably going to start putting the episode numbers on as well, actually. I used to do that, but then I was told that it don't help. But anyway, I think it does. Right, back to the game. So, currently we are looking at the coordinator. It's not its name, but that's what I'm calling it. So this setup here is the same as what we mentioned in the last episode. Now, there are a few issues that happen, and we'll get to those as they happen. You can see I've got my oxygen generator there, using water to turn into hydrogen and oxygen, and then separating the two, using the oxygen for the base, and the hydrogen I am dumping into that left-hand side because, well, it's the easiest thing to do at the minute. One thing I do need to be careful of is making sure I keep an eye on all the temperatures around here, because what I've noticed is the insulation brick does work, but not forever. So that is quite significant. So, although it's working, it's not working well enough. And unfortunately, the options here are limited due to the chemicals I am using. Now, the liquids, the gases, what I'm struggling with is you need a lot of cold to cool this area down. The machine itself can easily break 500, 600 degrees, and then some. This wasn't working as well as I thought. I thought it would take the cold gas and cool it down. It's not working. I need to use a liquid. Liquid is more dense. There's a lot more energy transferred through a liquid than a gas. We know this. That's why we use water as a coolant. But of course, you've got to be careful with water because it freezes and breaks everything. Polluted water is the same, and even brine has that ability as well. Though brine will go down to about negative, I think it's 15 or so if you look at the stats. Can't remember, but it's better than, of course, water because it has the salt in there. What I actually want to use is ethanol, because it allows us to go down to about negative 100, though of course I won't go anywhere near that. But its disadvantage is that it will turn into a gas at about 60 or 70 degrees, so its boiling point is about 60 to 70 degrees. So we'll need to keep it low. Normally I would allow it to do its own thing, but it's not going to work. So ethanol is our best option for now. There are other coolants in the game, but you have to make them. For reference, the top right hand corner where you can see the multiple planets, don't know why it does that. Every now and again it does it, and then I'll load in next game and it won't be there. We are going to have to deal with this mess down here, but there is no way I am sending duplicates in there without an Atmos suit on. So the idea that I have is to rip out all of this right hand side, do the same, though I'll skip that for your pleasure because I'm sure nobody wants to watch that. And I'm just going to dig up here and get any liquids out. So what we want is additional liquids, and then the liquids will be stored here. Now I've just realised there's a mix, and that's because somehow, somewhere, I have gone and effed up. I must have connected the clean water line to the sewage line, or vice versa. Oh, it's there. Yeah, okay. So that means that we've now got clean water going into our sewage water area, or polluted water. That's not... It could be worse. We could have the polluted water going into the clean area, and then that would allow germs to spread throughout that. So we haven't done that, luckily. But it's an easy fix. There is a serious cluster of piping that could do with a serious cleanup, but it's just too messy to do so, because obviously just breaking pipes will indeed drop that liquid wherever you break it and make a right mess. So I'm not doing that. What I am going to do in the future is make much bigger storages, like the same as they are now, but probably 3-4 times the height and hopefully almost twice as wide for both of these. Then of course the polluted water and any sewage polluted water that comes in will be then automatically transferred into sieves. The sieves go into the clean water. The clean water will run the base as it is now, but also I am going to need that for oxygen. when you turn the water into oxygen and hydrogen, of course, you then lose it forever. We do have a lot of brine that we can use as desalinator and turn it into clean water as well. So for now, it's not too tragic. We do have the resources. I just need to have the structures in place to do so. Now, this cooling loop, words are difficult, that I set up did work again for a little bit, and then it stopped. What was the reason was, at the top there was a huge area from the gas, the hydrogen, that was pulling the cold down from what we left. So using brine, I was chucking in a loop that would go up there, cool the brine down. It was going down to about negative 10, 5, 10. Then it comes down here and goes through there that you can see. Unfortunately, though, the temperature change is just too drastic. It turns the liquid, even the brine, into steam directly. The steam breaks the pipe and the whole system falls apart. So, as I've mentioned, ethanol is about the only option I have where it's not going to cause problems. All running salt water will do, or brine will do, is create steam and salt everywhere. We can clearly see there's a bit of an issue here with my electrolyzers, obviously separating the hydrogen and oxygen. The oxygen should be pumped out, but the pump seems a bit too efficient, and it's pulling hydrogen that it's grabbing. So what I need to do is chuck in a filter there, and I'll just filter out the oxygen, only allowing then the hydrogen to go back into the chamber, float to the top, and go out where it's supposed to. I hope. That's better. Now, of course, the hydrogen going into the base isn't the end of the world. They can't breathe it. It does give them eye irritation, but it is a small square, and it will all go straight to the top of the base and settle. So it's easy to clean up. It just is a little bit messy. And to be honest, I want to be able to keep the pressure of oxygen only, and then I can use automations to keep that pressure. So if I keep my base at around 1,000 to 1,500 grams or 1.5 kilos of pressure per square, that's reasonable, I would say. You can go up to 2 to be extra safe, but anything above 2 is liable to give them burst eardrums and make them very sad, even though they're breathing. So 1,500 is my magic number that I like to use, and then I just set it on the vents. Now, I will be doing a full setup where the base will be broken down into sections or segments, maybe 4 floors per segment, and each one will have its own regulator for oxygen to make sure that I'm not pushing it in the wrong places. And the same with heating as well, because I've got a huge issue at the top of the base. It's cold all the time. I think a lot of it is radiating from the materials I'm collecting and storing in the base, but I haven't found a mod yet or any options where I can sort items based on temperature. It'd be really handy if I could say that anything that's sort of negative 0 or below in terms of temperature gets stored X, like somewhere. I'm still looking. If you know of one, please do let me know, because that'd be really great actually, because ripping out both sides of the base and then getting all of these resources, you've got a lot of hot and cold resources that you want to kind of segregate, or at least I could put the hot in one place, the cold in another place, and then try and actually get them to room temperature so I can bring them back in. Making some Atmo suits now for that Atmo area you saw. I think there's 5 in total spaces. Yes, there. And of course the left hand, that is to get onto the left hand side of the base. So the idea is, as soon as they're ready, I will block all doors, and the only way they'll be able to work outside of the base on the left hand side is with an Atmo suit on. There's the cold I mentioned about at the top of the base. I've tried and tried and tried. I know that the wallpaper are a problem. They don't allow the gas to dissipate heat very well, so I may have to remove that, but I don't want to. I'd rather it be sorted and leave the wallpaper in, because I do love that, as I mentioned from the very beginning of Season 1. I'm showing this because don't do it, it doesn't work. I thought that if I got my shipping system set up, that I could dump all of the frozen, can't remember what they're called now, liquefactables I believe they're called, dump them in here, because they're all negative somewhere between 30 and 50, and maybe even negative, yeah, 52, that in itself should cool this room down. Again, this is all working towards ethanol, but I haven't got there yet because we need to get it off the other planet. But I thought this would do something, and it doesn't. Now, thermodynamics isn't my forte, although I do try. And logically, this should do more than what it's doing, right? They should melt a lot quicker, I would have expected. And then as soon as they melt, they create a liquid. That liquid then goes boom and creates a huge drop in temperature, and likely then into a gas that will then do the same again. It doesn't. It just doesn't. You can see the cold coming in from where it's travelling through the hydrogen, but then, if I'm honest, I think it's the fact that the actual machine itself is just throwing out too much heat, and we need to be talking serious coolants to make this user-friendly. For reference, I am going to start, and I'm showing here just quickly that I've used obsidian as the tiles. I am going to probably do a lot of the base in different tiles, because I always use these ones, and to be honest, I really do like that black look. I think it's smart. So likely I'll try and do a massive change over to obsidian. We have plenty of it and many more to dig out, so I don't see it as an issue, and we'll give that a go. Now what we're going to do is the right hand side, start tackling that. Now from the very beginning, I am going to just chuck in the scaffolding, and the scaffolding being just ladders. Once I've done that, sort of 4 to 5 blocks apart is more than enough to allow them to stretch over and get the rest. And then make sure you've got the verticals in there so that they can get to each of those floors. Once that's all done, we will then use the dig tool and just basically select all. The only thing you need to look out for is geysers, which you can tell by the I can't remember what it's called now. The black stuff beneath the geysers that you can't break on the edge of the map. You'll see that by when you actually do the dig tool, it will go red and then go off, so you'll know it. And then just make sure you cancel around it, because what you actually want to do or be doing is concentrating your duplicates when they're available around that area, and immediately encase whatever it is in some form of protection, like insulated tiles. Right, so I just skipped ahead because that was doing my ears in, probably yours as well. So again, select in there, and you'll see it will select anything that is the not allowed neo stuff. Will go red and then immediately disappear, so it will stand out like a sore thumb when you actually do it. And you can see any of this hiding volcanoes or geysers or whatever may be on that base. There's another one in here I can see already. So you'll see there in the center of the screen, just above that sleep thing there, it went red and off. So you can now see that that is indeed something that we do not want to uncover just yet. And the ladders are showing it as well, because they're usually 3 to 4 blocks high. Volcanoes are 3, I think. Geysers are 4. And yeah, you can see there. So all I'll do is go cancel and don't dig out that. And that stops it from causing any problems with the base. As daft as it sounds, it will not be able to erupt. It will not be able to off gas, anything like that. The temperature, whether it's cold or hot, will not happen. You can see I'm going here and doing that one as well. The width of it shows me that that is a volcano rather than a geyser, because the geysers are 3, the volcanoes are 4. I believe. Anyway, unless somebody knows different, let me know. But that's how I usually gauge it. Just as a temporary fixture, or at least it's supposed to be, hopefully I won't forget it, I want to try and clean some liquid water as soon as possible. Obviously, having the electrolyzer set up, I know I'm going to be eating the water pretty fast. Annoyingly, I don't have a long enough one to jump 3 pipes. So this what I'm setting up now is the teleporter from the other asteroid we dug out, and the idea is that we're going to send all of that polluted water from the other asteroid to here. As it arrives here, it's going to immediately be sieved to clean water and then get stored. There's no point storing the dirty water if I can help it, so I might as well clean it as we go. But I can't leave them in the base for too long because they will create lots of heat. Realistically, I probably should have built them up higher where it was cooler, but of course you've got to be careful, because the temperature up there, although it would warm it up, would also cool this down, and if you start freezing the liquids that I'm trying to cool, it will cause a right mess. So for now, we'll just get it going. And again, the idea here is quite simple. It will come in, teleported in here, go straight into the 2 sieves, straight into then the clean water storage. And a duplicate has died. Jeez. That was really bad of me. I mean, I have got the mod installed that makes them smarter builders, where they're not supposed to be able to build themselves out. Anyway, unfortunately, that's another death. Apologies for that. I really shouldn't be losing duplicants. It's not like it's on a harder difficulty. So, I'm an idiot. Down here, you can see we're getting overheats again, which likely means... I can see by the fact there's water all over the floor, our cooling loop has failed there also, and this is where we need, again, the ethanol. Okay, so back over to the second asteroid, and all we're doing here is stealing the liquid. Now, these guys are struggling a lot, permanently actually. 89%, you can see the stress. No matter what I do, they struggle to... I don't know. They struggle to survive in a happy environment because the environment is terrible. It's cold, it's dirty, the toilets are crap. It's just pants. So, as soon as I'm happy that this is running, I'm going to send them home and leave it. Because for now, all I need is the water. We can come back to do the oil when we need to. And over to the left-hand side of here, there is the ethanol that I need to collect. But we can send that through the same system, so that's not too difficult. Just as confirmation as I'm just checking that this system is working from the other planet, you can see, and not planet, asteroid, you can see that yes, indeed, the liquid ran out. As soon as this setup down here runs out of the item that keeps it cool, it just breaks. Of course it will do, by just design. It's absorbing that heat and turning it into energy, but lava is a lot hotter than the generators can handle. The generators go up to 170. You can push that obviously to 370 with steel, but it easily goes 600, 700, 800 without a cooling in place. Over at the refinery, which is doing nicely for us, plenty of steel, I'm not worried about that. I've got some set, I've turned it off for now, but the room keeps getting a bit warm. Now, where the machine is, it was fine, but where them two transformers are, there was a bit of heat being thrown out by them. So every time one of the duplicates walked in, they complained it was too hot, and then they was comfortable. So all I've done is just extended this line over to try and help keep the rest of the room cool as well. That should work. I can chuck a transfer plate, temp shift plate behind it as well, and we should be good. We've got plenty of brine in the loop around the negative 10 degrees, so I'm not too worried. It's not a resource drain. It should be good. These are also overheating, and these are the natural gas generators. Now, they're overheating for one reason, and that one reason is that they're not supposed to be running all the time. If I expected them to run all the time, I would have cooled them down. Now, we have got, and since obviously the last time, you can see there is a lot of ethanol in. I did have a lot of problems after the generators were broken. So, off camera I did it because I'm not unsure, me bumbling my way through it. Again, remember, I do this myself. I don't copy builds off the internet. So all it is doing is going out there into the asteroid above the line of our base. Some radiant pipes going along, and we're doing the same down here as well. Radiant pipes going along the outer space, which is about negative 60-ish, give or take. And then that goes through. Obviously, this is automated through the two stop valves that we had from the very beginning. The hydrogen then sends that around. Now, there are occasions where these stop, like the bottom left center one keeps stopping because it's too cold, but I have to keep it colder than I did before. Before it was set for about 150 degrees. Now it's set for 70, because if it goes above 70, the ethanol will gas off and break the pipes. You just saw there, I'm just quickly showing you where I actually got it from. Because like I say, I skipped forward a little bit there. This is the liquid coming from the place. You can see the orange there. That's where I then siphoned off the ethanol. And then everything else, which is only polluted water, goes to be cleaned. Now I have a lot more ethanol than I need, so I do need to clear up the bits that I have left. That bit there waiting in the pipe needs to be sent back, which I can easily just repipe it back into the tank, like so. And I think I need to put a bit more in the line for the generators, the thermogenerators. They seem to work. It doesn't matter what temperature you actually run them at. If they're warm enough or hot enough to run, they generate 225, 250 energy. So you don't get more efficiency if you make them hotter. So I'm not actually losing anything here. It's working fine, and running them cold means that every now and again one of them stops, but the most important part is that they're running for 99% of the time, and the generators that run on the natural gas are allowed to cool down and given a break. So with the spacesuits there, the Atmos suits, I didn't put the ladders in, so they couldn't actually go anywhere with it. So I've locked off the doors off and they can't get there, so now they can. I'm just putting the ladders down there, you can see, and then one down the next level, and then the infrastructure's already there. Once they can get through, as you can see, nice and happy. They're complaining though because as soon as they leave their suits, they have a problem. So what I'm going to do is cap off this area with that door and extra bit of insulation. And then I can steal some of the oxygen from below that's coming up here anyway because we need it in the Atmos suits, and just ask it to put a little bit in this room. That will make it then that this room is comfortable and breathable. They can put their Atmos suits on, then go through the door and head into this horrible hydrogen-filled chamber of doom, which I was going to say death, but there's not really anything too tragic out there. Just a quick overview there, you can see that that whole side is just hydrogen gas. The base is very blue, so that's good for oxygen. There is in that centre, that dark green, that is a lot of polluted oxygen, 6.6 kilos per tile. So I need to get in there, get that cleaned and get that into the base. That is a serious amount of oxygen that's being wasted. I also need to break the pipe there because that's getting a bit too full on the saltwater or brine. I'm not sure what sort of pressures the installations can take, and I'm not going to cheese it with the air tiles that don't break, so instead I'll just break the pipe and stop it from doing so, like that. We are of course going to get a desalinator in place at some point because I have a lot more brine than I need. This loop that you can see, this setup, is a closed loop really, so what I've got there in that top tank and that bottom tank I'll never need anymore, and I can just keep rotating them around. I think that should work. The ethanol is keeping the machine, the cooling machine, cool, and then the cooling machine is keeping the brine -10, and that is then used to keep all of the other rooms reduced in temperature as well. Now this room's getting a few issues with the carbon dioxide's backing up, and that's because the pump is no longer powered. So if we go and check, you'll see that at some point I have broke that power line. Don't know how or when I did that, but apparently I did. But then I noticed that actually I don't need the pump to pump that because, so yeah, this you can see I'm sending it outside to be pumped back in. That makes no sense, and I am 100% an idiot. All I need to do is pipe it straight into the tanks, then that pump's irrelevant, right? I mean, I can leave it there to pump when it needs to, but you can see there, look. And now the generators are allowed to start again. Because the carbon dioxide backed up, 2 of the 4 natural gas generators weren't working. So you can see liquid tanks, both the polluted and the clean, are full. Now that's good for a resource, but it's bad for the fact that I need to make room so that the actual plumbing works, because the clean water is going to get backed up and the dirty water is going to get backed up also. Now I did set all of these tanks to empty. If you remember, I used them to empty that left hand side. I just chucked them into the automated setup I had, nice and simple. And now this whole area is going to be a giant pair of tanks, water tanks. Nice and simple, but you'll have to wait until the next episode to see them. So thank you very much for watching. If you like the video, please click like. Any comments are welcome as always. Again, thank you for watching. Take care. Goodbye.